Hi guys, welcome to a new video. I'm gonna be reading fantasy romance books for a week. So I'm actually filming this intro after this video, but I'm just gonna let you know the first few books I read in this vlog. So I read quite a few books. Fantasy romance is like one of my favorite genres. Like romance and fantasy are like the best of both worlds. And so I thought, why not read it for a week? And so the first book I'll be reading is Blood and Honey by Shelby Morin. This is the second book in a series. The first book is Serpent and Dove, and it's basically like a witchy kind of world. There's a lot of magic, there's different types of witches, but witches are not welcome by humans. If you're known to be a witch, you get killed. And so in the first book we follow Reed and Lo. So Reed is a witch hunter, whereas Lo is a witch. And that first book, Serpent and Dove, I loved so much. I loved their dynamic and everything. It was so good. And so in this book there's a lot of things Lou's running from. There's people after her, and you discover that throughout the books, and so I don't want to spoil too much, but we follow that plot through this book. This is the first book I'm reading. And then I'm also reading Bite the Power That Feeds, which is the third book in a fantasy romance series. This is a vampire romance. I won't explain too much of the plot because I'm on the third book, but we follow 4 point of views now. We have 2 different relationships we follow. In the first book it's just 2, which is between a human and a vampire. The plot's going on and there's a lot of war and stuff going on. I really like this series. It's not the best because the writing isn't great, but it's something really easy I can read and just pick up whenever. Yeah, and I really like the relationships. They're like really sweet. So yeah, those are the first 2 books I'm reading in this video, and then I read a few more which you will see when I get to them. I hope you enjoy. Hi guys, so I have some updates and some thoughts on Blood and Honey. It is 8 a.m, so sorry if I'm a bit out of it. I'm very tired, but anyways, I'm on page 130. So far I'm liking it. I'm not loving it. There's a lot of tension and stuff going on in relationships. Like there's obviously politics and stuff that's not going well. There's a lot of high stakes and stuff, but there's also a lot of tension and problems in like relationships, which I don't like, just because like I hate reading that in books. Like I'm not saying it makes it a bad book. Whenever there's problems in books, like third act breakups in romance books, I always hate that. And so like I'm not really enjoying it, but there are some really like good aspects still in the book. Like I still love the characters and the witch vibes, and I'm excited to see what happens because there's some very high stakes, some plans and stuff going on, and it's been a bit slow at the start, but I actually like that because when I go to a second book in a fantasy, if I've like read some books in between, I'm not prepared to go straight back into it. Like I need to build up a bit to get back into it. So I'm not a big fan when fantasy books it just goes straight back into it and there's just all this stuff going on. I like when it's a bit slower and I can adjust and get back to the world. So I'm liking that, and I'm still reading it quite quickly. I'm excited, and even though like stuff in relationships and that I'm not liking at the moment, it's motivating me to read because I want to see things get better. But I think also the problems and stuff happening is important, and it should be there because everything just being a-okay after everything that happened in the last book wouldn't make sense. So I understand why it's there and I like that it's there. It's just not the most enjoyable for me, but I am excited to see where this goes. I'm planning to read a lot today, hopefully. Also, a few weeks ago, I borrowed After the Forest as an audiobook, and I realized yesterday that it's actually fantasy romance. So I can listen to that during this vlog. I don't know when. I think maybe when I get more into this book, I might start listening to that as well. But it's like a Hansel and Gretel retelling, but it's a lot more dark. There's romance and fantasy and witchy aspects, I think. So I'm excited for that. I'm probably going to listen to that soon, like I said, when I get more into this book. And then I think I'm not going to continue reading Bite the Power That Feeds now. I'm going to wait until I like finish this book, because I feel like too many fantasies at once is going to drive me mad. So I'm going to wait until I finish like this book maybe, and then get back into that book. Those are my updates so far. Like I said, I'm going to probably read a lot today. It's more of a gloomier day today, and I'm mostly just staying home. Like I have an appointment later, and then the rest of the day I'm just staying home. So I'll probably read a lot, hopefully. Hi guys, so I've been doing some reading, obviously, like I don't know what else I'd be doing. Anyways, I started After the Forest on audiobook. I'm 3 hours and 20 minutes in. I think overall it's 13 hours long, and I'm very confused, I won't lie. I think because I'm listening on audio that I'm confused, but there's just so many aspects that I'm really confused about. So we're following Gretel, and she doesn't have parents. They've passed away. She's living in this little cottage, I think. She has a brother, Hans, who's not doing well. He's like gambling. He's an alcoholic and stuff. They're losing money. And Gretel, I don't know if she's a witch or not. People say she's a witch, but I don't know if she actually is. And people say like, if you have red hair, you're a witch. But I don't know if they just say that. She has auburn hair. So I'm confused about that. And then also, we're getting some flashbacks to when they were kids, and I think they were trapped by a witch in a gingerbread house, like the original Hansel and Gretel story. Yeah, we have some flashbacks. They were in the gingerbread house, locked in there. I think their stepmother sent them away into the woods, and they were out on their own for like days or weeks until they stumbled across the gingerbread house. And then the witch like lured them in and trapped them in there, and then they escaped. I don't know how. I don't have the full story yet because we get like flashbacks, and then the start of each chapter talks about Liliana. I think that's her mother, and I think her mother was a witch. But I'm also like, I'm so confused. There's like a lot of politics and stuff going on in the world, which I'm also confused about. I think there's a war going on, and there's like soldiers that keep coming and passing, and I don't really understand that story. And most of the men that live in her town have to go and be a soldier when they come of age. Everyone's kind of in poverty. And then Gretel has this like witch book that speaks into her mind, and I think she got that from the gingerbread house, and she uses that to bake gingerbread. And I think like there's some magic in it, so everyone loves it, and that's how she like puts food on the table and stuff. The plot's kind of coming together in my head, but I'm still very confused, and hasn't been a lot of like fantasy aspects yet. Now there's some stuff going on where she's in the woods, she's hallucinating and stuff, and I think maybe that's a witch. I don't know what's going on. And then there's the romance aspect, which is like a main part of why I'm still listening, even though we've only had 2 encounters with the guy. I think I'm like 25% of the way through it. Yeah, it's not great, but like I'm still listening. I think mainly for the romance. I don't know, for some reason I'm still listening even though I'm really confused and stuff. But I think if I had the physical book, I probably wouldn't be reading as much of it. It would be harder for me to get into it. So I feel like the audiobook helps, but I'm also really confused. So if I had the book, maybe I'd understand better, but I don't know. Also, the guys' voices are so bad. They sound like they're dying. They sound so bad. I think it's voiced by the same woman, and they sound so stupid. The love interest, he has like a Scottish accent, I think, and he sounds stupid, but I feel like the accent helps. But kind of getting used to it. But I just hate how they sound. Also, I listen to audiobooks on 1 times speed, like normal speed, and I know most people like speed it up, but I can't do that. So I think it's going to take me quite a while longer to get through it. I think it's like 400 pages, and so far I'm around like 100 pages in. I'm staying for the romance, even though we've gotten like crumbs. For some reason I'm still intrigued. There's more updates for After the Woods. For Blood and Honey, what page was I on when I last spoke to you? I think I was on page like 130. I'm now on page 230. I have the same thoughts. It's kind of harder for me to get through. I feel like the plot is a bit slow at the moment. Like there's stuff going on, but I'm still, I don't know, I'm not as intrigued. And I think it's because the couple is already together, so there's not really a lot of tension and stuff, and they're not together at the moment in the book. Like they're doing separate things, so I feel like that's why I'm less interested. Even though I'm very interested in the world and everything, I'm just still like not as excited to read it, which I think is why I'm listening to After the Forest more, or After the Woods. Oh my god, I can't remember. Because like there's a romance lingering and it hasn't like come together yet, and so I'm excited. Those are my thoughts. I'm gonna try to read more of Blood and Honey today. I honestly thought I'd be like finished with it by now, but I'm not, unfortunately. I'm gonna try and read more today and listen to After the Forest. I asked on my Instagram because I was like, what should I do while I listen to an audiobook? Because yesterday I was painting and journaling, but then it got later and I was too tired to do stuff like that. And a lot of people said colouring in, which I'm like, oh my god, you're so smart, because I have so many colouring in books that I just haven't filled in. So I'm gonna be colouring in today. I'm gonna try and do that later when I'm more tired. I'm gonna try and get through Blood and Honey now. This has been a really long update. I'm gonna read now. Hi guys, I haven't updated you guys in quite a long time because I did a Halloween readathon, so I had like put this video on pause while I did that, which was over like 2 days, and then I meant to come back to this video. But firstly, I haven't been feeling very well. Yesterday I was going through it, and the days before I haven't been feeling the best. Today I still don't feel great, but I'm better than I was before, and I've had some issues with the books I'm reading, so I'm gonna give like proper updates and thoughts later. There's a lot to talk about, so I'm just gonna give you like brief thoughts and then I'll talk more about it later. But Blood and Honey, I have like 100 pages left, not loving it, so I've been like not wanting to read it really. And then After the Woods, I'm like 4 hours in and I've decided to DNF that. That was the audiobook, because I'm just not into it. Like I haven't listened to it for a few days, and then I picked it back up and I was like, I just wasn't interested. And there was like new stuff being uncovered, new stuff happening. It was a very important part of the book where stuff was happening, but I still like was into it. I was just bored. Bite the Power That Feeds, I read a bit more, but then I sort of lost interest, and I realized that I need like a new book with a new romance, because Blood and Honey, that's the second book in the series. The romance was already established. Bite the Power That Feeds, that's the third book in the series, and there's 2 romances in the series so far, and they've already both been established. I was just feeling really bored with them, but I'm still 100% gonna get back into them. I still really like the story. I was just in a bit of a slump, and on Halloween, a lot of the books I read I didn't particularly like very much, so I was like, I need a new book with a new romance so I get more excited. A new like fantasy storyline, something that's easy, just something I think will get me a bit back into reading and into fantasy romance. So I'm reading Slaying the Shadow Prince. I'm on page like around 100. I'm really liking it so far. It's not like amazing, but I am liking it. The dynamic between the 2 main characters is kind of like Nesta and Cassian from A Court of Silver Flames, and I'm loving it. Like, I'm loving their moments. Oh my god. Basically, this book is like, it's a part of a series, but it's a standalone series, and lots of different authors have written a book for the series. So there's like Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent, and there's heaps in the series, and so this is one of them, but it's like different fantasy worlds and stuff. I think like they're not really interconnected in this world. So there's these shadow wraths. They're like these shadow monsters. They're like destroying the kingdom and everywhere. They're destroying people. The population's going down, and Drew lives in one of these places where the whole place is just deserted. There's hardly any people left. Most of her family has been taken by these shadow wraths. She's one of the rangers, so she like does patrols and looks out for the shadow wraths and stuff. And then there's the war swords. I hate saying that. They're kind of like, how do I say this? They're like the most powerful fighters. They're like the army. Some say they're sent from God, and some of them are said to be immortal. Like, they're the most powerful and strong guys. I don't know the proper word, but they like fight against all these shadow wraths. There's been wars and stuff where they're fighting them. One of the bigger ones, oh my god, I've never even said his, Talmir, I think. He is one of like the most strongest, biggest ones, whatever. Him and Drew cross paths, and Drew finds out that he's actually like part shadow wrath, and other people don't know, but she figured it out, and so she's like trying to kill him because he's a shadow wrath. And then he like is trying to be like, I know I'm part shadow wrath, but like I mean no ill intent, and I don't like that I'm part shadow wrath and all this stuff. But now they're going on like a adventure, like a journey together to try and find more stuff about the shadow wraths, trying to destroy them, try to get rid of them, all this stuff. And I'm really liking it. I really like their dynamic. I really think they are like Nesta and Cassian. I love Drew's character. She's very, I guess, strong-willed. Is that the right word? She's very strong. And Talmir, he's a bit of a cinnamon roll guy, but he's also like, he gets to Drew and stuff. The banter is so good, and I'm loving it so far. I've said that a million times. There's been a 1-horse trope and a 1-tent trope, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it so much. So I'm gonna give you updates when I get more into it. Hi guys, so I'm gonna end the video here just because I've been filming this video for so long, and I want to try new books and film other videos that don't correlate with this video, that aren't fantasy romance and stuff. So I also want to get this video up, so I'm just gonna end it now, and we're gonna recap everything I've read. Slaying the Shadow Prince I'm now on page 200, which is like just over 50%. I'm really liking it, but I'm not loving it, and it's not really what I'm leaning towards reading at the moment. I like reading like a bit of it at night since it's on my phone and I can just read bits of it here and there. But yeah, I really like it and I like the relationship. It's not my favorite fantasy book. The plot, like the shadow wraths and all that stuff, it's not the most interesting to me. They're trying to discover how to defeat them, and I don't know, it also feels like there's not a lot going on, so I'm not loving it really, but I'm liking it, like I said. And then Blood and Honey, I have still like just over 100 pages left. I don't know when I'm actually gonna pick up this book again because, okay, this book I kind of hate. I don't know why the author chose to do what she did with the characters, because the two main characters, Lou and Reed, I absolutely loved them in the first book, their relationship and everything, and so I was so excited for this book. I want to see their relationship like blossom, to see them fight together and stuff. Their relationship just got absolutely demolished. Like the pain I went through throughout this entire book, this whole book just felt like a third act breakup. Like this entire book, and I kept trying to like hold in there and try and like maybe it'll get better, and just kept getting worse and worse. And the last part I just read was like, oh my god, I don't know how I'm gonna finish this book. Also the relationship really carried it for me, and now I'm like, what the hell, what did I just read? This was like 500 pages. I'm not even finished it. I don't know when I'm gonna finish it, but I'm just so mad about that. And I like was doing research. I'm like, does it get better, blah blah blah, and people said the third book, Gods and Monsters, which is the last book in the series, is basically like closure for the series, and I think the relationship is mended and stuff. But that just really annoys me because I don't want to go through all this pain, and like I'm so annoyed. And people say like a lot of the third book was unnecessary, it could have been shorter, and I think it's another 500-page book. So you're telling me I have to read another 500-page book to see these characters get a happily ever after? Like, I'm so mad because I was so excited for this book. Whatever, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I don't know, I'm like really upset because I feel like this could have been so much better, had so much potential. The first book was so good, and like even like the stuff plot wise that's going on, the magic and the journeys and stuff is so interesting and I really like it. The relationship just ruined it. It ruined it so much, and I don't know why the author did that. Why did she do that? I don't know. Moving on, I also read Fight the Power That Feeds. I only read, when I saw this video, I was on page about 90, and I only read probably 30 pages of that book. I don't think I even once explained what it was about because I never even showed myself reading it or like anything. I'm just getting a little bored with it. It is another book that's just easy to read and pick up whenever, and so when I'm in the mood for it again, I'll continue reading it. I also read After the Forest on audiobook and then DNF'd it. I got about like 40% and DNF'd it, I think like 4 hours in. Yeah, that book wasn't, I don't know, I just was bored. I didn't really understand what was going on. So yeah, I feel really bad that I didn't finish a single book in this video, and this video feels like such a mess, and I'm so sorry. Like, I feel terrible, but yeah, oh well, that's what happens sometimes with reading. I hope you enjoyed the video anyways. If you have any fantasy romance recommendations, please let me know. Even though I have a massive TBR of fantasy romance books, I am welcome to adding more because fantasy romance is just, it's so good. Thank you for watching. Bye.